supporting and coming. Thank you very much. Even though some people wanted to sit next to their spouses, but they realized tonight, Baruch Hashem, we're all together as a community, and sometimes for the community we have to give it a little bit. Everyone's having fun, Baruch Hashem. Thank you for coming. I'd like to thank everyone who helped. There are many people who helped over here. There are a few people, especially I'd like to ask. One of them, you know, my wife, Mrs. Hamzadeh, helped a lot tonight. Thank you very much. And also, Rabbi Saidian, he's not here. I can't tell you what he did, but he helped a lot tonight. Thank you very, very much. And everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for coming. Baruch Hashem, tonight we have a very, very special speaker. Last time he came here, everyone had a blast. It was a ladies' night. Many ladies on the other side of the short mechitza, remember, they had a blast. I was sitting behind the mechitza that night, and I couldn't hold myself from all the beautiful jokes, and it was very nice that night. So we thought we should have him back with us one more time. Without any further ado, I'll give over the podium to Rabbi Majesky. Thank you for coming, Rabbi Majesky. You want it? But this you need to have.
You don't have to go over like that.
No, I'm tired. But this you gotta have. You could leave it there.
In case I walk. This goes into there or there? This doesn't go loud. Shavua Tov. It's good to be back at Yachad. Tremendous. I don't know, on the Motzai Shabbat, so many people coming out for chizuk and to hear words of Torah. Tremendous, tremendous. Kol hakavod. Driving down here tonight from the valley, I brought my passport, crossed the border, and I was reminded of a story. There was a couple who lived right near a train station. And when the train goes by, obviously it makes a lot of noise. And the house would start to shake. And in their bedroom there was a closet. And every time the train would roll on by, the closet door would fly open. Things would fall down. And some things we just get used to. For years and years, train comes by, the closet door pops open. And finally, one afternoon while the husband's at work, the woman of the house, the lady, decides she's going to get this problem fixed. So she calls the contractor, and he comes by, and he sees the train. As the train goes by, the door flies open. He says, this seems a little interesting. I have to take a flashlight. I have to sit inside the closet. And I have to see when the train goes by why the door is popping open. So he goes, squeezes himself in the closet. He takes his flashlight. And lo and behold, that day, the husband comes home from work early. He walks into his bedroom. He opens up his closet door and he sees a man sitting in there. He looks at him, bewildered, and the man looks back at him and says, would you believe me if I tell you I'm waiting for the train? I'm not sure how well that went over, but things don't always seem exactly the way they seem. At times we have to take a deeper look, especially when it comes to our holy Torah, our Chagim. You see, many times, unfortunately, we grow up with a view of our Chagim the way we had it when we were 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years old. Sukkot comes, we go in a sukkah, we know about the clouds. Pesach comes, we eat some matzah, and we lean. Maybe we hear 1 or 2 new ideas. But that's not enough. Because the depth behind each of these Yom Tovim and Chagim which we have are so high and so deep that we could spend years on just one of them and it's still not enough. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, the famous Musar giant, he was known to say, a Ben Torah, a Jewish man, has to know how to learn 40 pages of Gemara in 1 hour. And he also has to know how to learn 40 hours on 1 page of Gemara. 1 page can go over and over, it's so deep. The Yam HaTalmud, the Yam of Torah. So I would like tonight to take a small idea, which I found out a couple of moments ago, might not be so common in this community, but hopefully after tonight will make it more common. We know that there's a concept on Hanukkah called the Sivivon. Anyone know what that is? No. How do you say it in Persian? Tefeh. Okay. A dreidel, as we grow, a Sivivon, a top, okay, as different letters on the dreidel. Does anyone know the letters that are on the dreidel? Could be from that side also. What? We got a Gimel, okay? I like Gimel goes first, you win. Whoa, what'd I do? What, Gimel? Gimel, Nun, Hey, Shin. Does anyone know what they stand for? Beautiful. Nes Gadol Hayasham. There was a great miracle that happened over there. Now here comes my question. This is not my question. This is the Bnei Yissaschar's question. A fascinating question. We know that the custom to play with the dreidel is because when the Greeks were coming and the Jews were hiding in caves, they would quickly take out these little toys, this dreidel, and as they would stop by, they would close their books and spin their dreidels. Nowadays, I'm a Rebbe in class, it's the opposite. They play with their toys and I come by, they open up their books. Yeah? But can you imagine in those days, they wanted it, not your son. In those days, they wanted to learn, and when they would come, they would take out the dreidel. So what letters were on their dreidel? They weren't just spinning a top. How did they win? Did they also have Nun Gimel Hey Shin? There was no miracle yet. What was on their dreidel? That's question number 1. Question number 2. Yaakov Avinu is traveling. He goes back to get his small junks, and he is confronted by the Sar Shel Esav, this fierce angel, scary looking man. And he takes on Yaakov as a fight. Now Chazal tell us this doesn't want a little fight. It wasn't the first boxing match. There was no Don King there. This was a cosmic fight. It was a fight between the Jewish people and the dark side. Yaakov versus Esav. This is going to go, as the Pasuk says, Adalot HaShachar. Not just till the morning. Until the end of time. Until Mashiach comes. This was a fight that represents Yaakov and Esav. Rav Aaron Cutler asks, why did this angel wait until Yaakov came along? Why didn't he pick on a fight with Avram? The starter of the Jewish people. Nip it in the bud. Right there, Avram goes to travel, he should meet up with an angel. You want to wait one generation, go get Yitzchak. You wait all the way until Yaakov comes. Rav Aaron Cutler is bothered by why does the angel wait until Yaakov comes? And along the same lines, I would like to add on one more question. In last week's parasha, the pasuk says, "Vayetze Yaakov Beersheva vayelech Harana." Yaakov went from Beersheva and he traveled to Harana, to Haran. And Rashi comes along and says, right, that's very funny. Majesky went and he left. You don't need to tell me that. If I went, then I left. Why does it say Vayetze and then it says Vayelech? It's a double lashon. Says Rashi, it's coming to teach you something. Ela magid sheyatzia tzaddik min hamakom. When a tzaddik leaves a place, osa rosham, he leaves an impression. He left, but other things went with him. Shehat tzaddik be'ir, when the tzaddik is in the city, hu hodeh, hu ziva, hu hadra, he's the splendor, he's the beauty, he's everything to the city. Yatsa misham, but once he leaves, pana hodeh, pana ziva, pana hadra, everything leaves with him. Vayetze Yaakov, Yaakov left. Vayelech Harana, everything went with him. And once again the question is, there were many tzaddikim who traveled, Rabbosai. Avram was Lech Lecha, traveling all around. And the Torah never tells me that when Avram leaves, the city is not the same. And the Torah never tells me when Yitzchak left, or Noach, or Shem. Only Yaakov. It teaches me this lesson, that when a tzaddik leaves, the city is not the same. Why? Yaakov. Let's try to get an understanding about the dreidel, and we'll work our way back. You see, the letters on the dreidel, Nun Gimel Hey Shin, says the Bnei Yissaschar, they were there the whole time, even in the times of the Greeks. That dreidel was there. Nun Gimel Hey Shin. Why would they have those letters? There was no miracle. Says the Bnei Yissaschar, if you look ahead in 2 weeks Parshiot, Yaakov is coming to meet Yosef. Finally, it was so long, they were waiting. He's coming to meet Yosef. He sends Yehuda up ahead to start a yeshiva. You know where he sends him? He sends him, says the pasuk, Yehuda goes to a place called Goshna, otherwise known as Goshen. He goes to Goshna and he sets up over there a Beis HaTalmud. He sets up in Parshas Vayigash, the Torah tells us he sets up the first yeshiva in Egypt, Yeshivas Mitzrayim. Yaakov was going into exile. He said, there's no way I'm going down to Egypt unless there's a yeshiva set up. Yehuda, go down to Goshna and start a yeshiva that when we get there, it's going to be ready. Ves Yehuda shalach lefanav el Yosef. He sends Yehuda in front. Lahoros lefanav Goshna vayavoyu arza Goshan. Says Rashi, Umedrash Agadar lahoros lefanav. Why? L'sakin lo beis ha-Talmud shemisham tetzahora, to set up a yeshiva in Egypt. Because if I'm going down to Egypt, there has to be yeshiva there. The letters of Goshna are Nun, Gimel, Hey, Shin. When the Jews were in Greece, or in Israel, during the Greek Empire, they were reminding themselves of those 4 letters. That Yaakov was teaching us there is going to be only one way how you will be able to withstand this exile. There is only one way how the Jewish people will remain strong in this galut. And that's if you have the letters of Nun Gimel Hey Shin. You remember Goshna. You remember the Torah. You remember the yeshiva. But it doesn't end over there. You see, way back when, the first day of creation, there was a very, very sneaky man named Obama. No. There was a very sneaky man named the Nachash. There's a very sneaky man named the Nachash. The Nachash comes along, the snake, and he messes up the whole plan. You see, guys, we were not supposed to be here now having amazing food and hearing beautiful Torah in Los Angeles. This is not the way the world was supposed to be. Right now, when you were born and I was born, we were supposed to be living in Israel with Moshe Rabbeinu and Yaakov Avinu and all of our grandparents. We were supposed to be born into a world of Mashiach. Unfortunately, says the Derech Hashem, Adam and Chava messed up because of the snake, and now we got to fix it. And until we fix what the snake messed up, we are stuck over here. God made a world in 6 days, and Adam messed it up. We now have to wait 6,000 years until we fix up all that which Adam messed up. But that was the Nachash. Rabbosai, the numerical value of Nun Gimel He Shin, which are on those dreidels, is 358. Shin is 300, Nun is 50, Gimel is 3, and He is 5. The numerical value of the word Nachash is the same thing. Shin is 300, Nun is 50, and Ches is 8. You see, the Nachash came along, the Koach Hara, the bad, and he messed up the world. And there is only one way how we can counteract that. That is through Goshna. The only real way how we can fix up what the Nachash messed up is through the yeshivas, through Goshna, what Yaakov sent Yehuda to set up. And only then will it be really fixed up, because you know why? The letters of Mashiach, Mem, Shin, Yud, Ches, is the same numerical value as 358. Shin is 300, Mem is 40, Yud is 10, and Ches is 8. Only Mashiach is going to really fix up what the Nachash messed up. And when the Jews were sitting playing with those dreidels, they were holding on to a message. They were holding on to their lifeline. They were holding on, and they were sitting in the caves, and they were getting brutally tortured by the Greeks. Every Kala who would get married, the first night she had to go and spend an evening in some Greek emperor's house. They knocked off all the doors of the Jewish homes. They made us close up all the mikvot. But there was one thing that they made a decree on, which was worse than them all. They said there is no learning Torah. Because they understood good and well. They understood good and well that if there's Torah, the Jews are going to survive. And the Jews kept that secret. Says Rav Aaron Kotler, Avram Avinu, you're such a Baal Chesed. You're amazing. All the Bikur Cholim, all the Gomli Chasadim that comes from you. But you know what? I'm not going to fight with you, Avram. Go do Chesed. Yitzchak Avinu. Wow, you daven, what a chazan. You represent tefillah. You are the karban, Akedat Yitzchak. You're amazing, Yitzchak Avinu. But guess what? I'm not going to fight with you. Yaakov Avinu, you represent Torah. You're Tiferet. I'm going to take you down. There is no way you're going to learn Torah. Because then I don't have a chance. He chooses his fight, says Reb Aaron Kotler, only with Yaakov. Because he knows that's the key to our survival. There are many organizations in the non-Jewish world that do kindness. There are many people out there in traditions and religions who pray. But we are the only ones who has Hashem's Torah. What does it mean? What does it mean? Let me explain. Let me tell you what the Heilige Chafetz Chaim says. The Chafetz Chaim says as follows. If you were to walk down the street, you and your wife took a vacation near San Francisco, and you decide you want to go on a little bit of a walk. And you walk down this beautiful street, and at the end of the street, you see a massive, massive building. You say, wow, it's huge. I've never seen anything like it. So you start following the building, and as you walk, it just like continues. It's like the glove. It grows. And you walk, and it continues. Finally, after a couple of blocks, you make a turn, and this massive structure continues more. And then you look up, and you see smoke coming out. And you see some type of factory in there, and cars and trucks are coming in and out. And wherever you go, you just see building everywhere. Says the Chafetz Chaim, you don't know what's inside that building, but what is one thing that you do know? Tell me one thing that you can know, ask the Chafetz Chaim, about that building. That was a question. Anyone? What's one thing that you could tell me about that building?
They're in business.
What?
They're in business.
Okay, a little bit more. I like it. They're in business. What?
They're making something.
They're making something, okay. A little bit more. What? Fire? Cooking something. But it's a massive thing. What do you know? What's a guarantee? Says the Chafetz Chaim, you know what you know? You know whatever it is. I don't know if it's Boeing airplanes or they're making pencils or some nuclear activity. But whatever it is that they're making inside, it must be worth it. They must be making a lot of money in order to have this, or they wouldn't build such a complex. When you walk by Dodger Stadium, even if you don't know what baseball is, you know that whoever built the stadium plans on making money. That's what you know. Says the Chafetz Chaim, open up your hearts. Bereshis bara Elohim es hashamayim v'et haaretz. Why did God create the sun and the moon and the galaxies and the Milky Way and the black holes and the millions types of different fish and all the different types of fruit and the respiratory system and the immune system and evaporation and everything about this world? Why? Bereshis bishvil haTorah shenikra Reshis. The entire world was created for one purpose. You see a small factory and you know whatever it is, it was worth it. Go look at the world, says the Chafetz Chaim, if you want to know why Hashem created it. Look how valuable the Torah is. Let me share with you a story. My Rebbe, my Rosh Hashiva of Nosson Tzvi Finkel, Rosh Hashiva of the Mir. Unfortunately, he was sick. If anyone ever got to meet him, if you had the schut or you read up, he had Parkinson's disease. And he would shake like this. I remember if I would sit with him, I had the schut to learn with him once a week. He was like this. When he would give a shiur, he had 5 microphones set up, that wherever he goes, they can pick up his voice, because he had no control of his body. Well, my Rebbe used to travel to America to collect money. His budget is over $21 million. And one time he was in New York and he was traveling to a wealthy man. And he was going in a caravan. And he was sitting in the back, and he used to have a chavrusa who came along with him to learn Torah with him while he was traveling from one man to another. And sometimes I experienced this once, that he would be sitting there and his body would just get the better of him and he would just have a complete jump. He had no control of his body. Lo aleinu. Well, he was laying down on the couch in this caravan, in this trailer, and his chavrusa was sitting on a chair over here. And they were in the middle of learning a Rashba, some piece, a Rishon on the Gemara. And Rav Nosson Tzvi is sitting over there, the big rabbi, and his whole body gives a jerk and he falls on the floor flat on his face, on the ground. This holy rabbi, he's laying on the floor. And the front of the car, they didn't know, so they're driving. And he's turning, and the rabbi's now going from side to side. And the boy who was learning with him, he was so confused, he didn't know what to do. He tries picking him up, and he manages to lift up the rabbi a little bit. And Rav Nosson Tzvi looks up at him and says, so how does the Rashba answer the question? One thought. One thought. That same rabbi, Rav Nosson Tzvi, once went to a wealthy man's house. And unfortunately, people don't always have such respect for rabbis. Baruch Hashem, that's one thing Sephardi community is notorious for. It's beautiful. And he goes into this wealthy man's house. And in Yeshiva Smir, they have over 5,000 students. And he looks at the rabbi, and the rabbi says, you really need a lot of money. This man is sitting there with his $100,000 couch from Italy behind him, this beautiful swimming pool with a custom-made water slide, and perfect view out the window. And he looks at the rabbi, he says, well, how much do you want? He says, if you can give us $100,000, that would be good for a start. And he looks at the Rav Nosson Tzvi and he says, $100,000? Yeah. Why do you need so many boys learning Torah for? He's a chutzpah. And without blinking an eyelash, Rav Nosson Tzvi looks at him and says, why do you need so much money for? Rav Nosson Tzvi closes his little book and he tells his Avreichim, let's go. And they leave the house. 4 days later, Rav Nosson Tzvi is back in Yerushalayim. There comes a man running to the door, knocking, banging. Rabbanit, Rebbitzin, I need the rabbi. What's your name? So-and-so. I just came off the plane from New York. Okay, let me see if he's available. He's available. Okay. How do you know? Because I have $1 million check. He's available. Hold on one second. Goes, gets the rabbi. Rabbi goes, Shalom Aleichem, you seem so familiar. 4 days ago, you were just asking me why I need so many students here. What's going on? He said, Rabbi, I make my money in the stock market. Since you left on the hour, my portfolio is going down by the points. On the hour. For no apparent reason. Please, I'm sorry for what I said. Can you let me write you a check? Wait a second. How much did you say it's going down? Sure, sir. You can write me a check. But I want to give 10 times that. Baruch Hashem, he writes him a check. By the end of the week, his business was taken care of. You see, Reb Chaim Volozhin explains that when you have a house and you want to go and make an extension, Bezrat Hashem, you should all be able to make beautiful extensions on your homes. You have to call in the architect because he knows where the beams are and he knows where everything is. Only he can help you make the house bigger. Well, let's say you want a change in the world. Let's say you need a child or a shidduch, or you need some type of Yeshua. Who do you go? Who do you go to change the plans? So you have to go to the architect. Okay, where's the architect? I can't get to him. Okay, go to the architect's helper. Go to the tzaddik, says Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, in the Rav Chaim Volozhin, who learns Torah. You know why? Because he has the architect plans. That's how the world was made. When the tzaddik says something, I want to tell you a medrash. Yaakov is fighting Esav. Says the medrash. Yaakov sends a message. Vayitzavo sam leimar ko somer la'adoni le'Esav. Ko amar avdecha Yaakov im lovan garti v'icharad ata. Says the medrash. You know what Yaakov told Esav? Amrulo. Im l'shalom ata. If you want to have peace with me, Misukan, fine. Ani kinegdecha. Ve'im le'melchama. But if you're coming to fight, Ani kinegdecha. I will fight you, Esav. How's Yaakov going to fight? What did he have? He just came from Lavan. How is he going to fight 400 generals? You know what he says? This is the words that the Medrash says. Yeshli gibarim ubalis roa. I have people who are very strong. She'omrim, you know why? Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu davar. They just say one thing. V'hu oseh lahem ritzonam. And God will do it. Shenemar ritzon yireyav ya'aseh. So you're going to come with all your fighters, and my people are going to come, drop dead. Right there in the corner. Hold them up. That's how Yaakov was going to fight. Ritzon yireyav ya'aseh. We have to believe that. We have to know and really internalize that concept. The Bible says the story of the Greeks wasn't just a long time ago. It's going on right now. As we speak, the Greeks are here. What the Greeks put into the world of everything is about the body and the physical. And there's no such thing as something spiritual as Torah. That lingered on. We might have won the battle and got back to Beit HaMikdash, but we didn't win the war. You know how many Jews became Hellenized and are not around today? Let me tell you about a boy that I just met a couple of weeks ago. There's a boy who lives in the valley, and his mom asked me if I could meet up with him, take him out for lunch. I said, sure. I meet with boys all the time. I have Sunday afternoon. But this boy was different. I sat down, I saw the anger in his eyes. Right away I said, 4th grade Rebbe? He said, 6th. I said, what? Tell me the story. I came into school and I was in a bad mood and my rabbi made fun of me and he didn't understand me. He gave on the whole reason. I said, and that's why you don't like God today. Yeah, it's his fault. I'm not saying that rabbi did a good thing. But that's an excuse. When my oldest brother was born, when my youngest uncle was born, my father and my Zaidi were in the hospital. And the doctor was a Jewish guy and he was an atheist. So my grandfather the whole time is talking to him and asking him about, wow, look how amazing the body is. A baby coming into life. And the doctor's basically ignoring him. And every couple of minutes, my grandfather, who was very into Kiruv, he was talking to him and, wow, look. And I was like, okay, quiet, there's the waiting room. And my father was there. He's the oldest brother. He's 13 years old. And he's watching this whole conversation. And finally, my Uncle Chaim is born. And the doctor's about to leave. And my grandfather goes over to him and says, Doctor, come here. Yes. I want to tell you something. He said, roll up your sleeves. So I'm the doctor. I tell you to roll up your sleeves. No, roll up your sleeves. Okay. He says, I know the Kabbalah. Did you ever hear of Kabbalah? Not over here, not this Kabbalah. Real Kabbalah. He said, okay. He said, give me your hand. I'm going to touch your hand right over here. And I'm going to say some secret Kabbalah words. And when I say those words, all of your questions are going to be answered. And you're going to be a full believer. Okay, so come here, give me your hand. My father said the doctor pulled away his hand so fast. He said, no. And my grandfather started chasing him around. He was that type of guy. Come here, give me your hand. No, don't take my hand. Why not? You have so many questions. Because they're not questions. They're excuses. People want to live their life. They want all the beauty. They want so much that the world has, and therefore they make their answers. But Yaakov Avinu says the Medrash when he leaves, look at the city. You know why Yaakov leaves and everything goes with him? Because Yaakov Avinu, people didn't know about. He didn't have this big chesed organization, like we said, or a big shul. He was sitting in a little corner in some kollel learning Torah. People didn't even know who he was. Who's Yaakov? Ish tam yoshev ohalim, sitting in some tent. What does Taisva say? Oh, him, that rabbi. Says the Medrash, really? When that rabbi leaves, look what's going to happen. Pana hadra, pana ziva, by him. You didn't even realize what you had. You didn't realize what you had. Someone sitting and learning Torah, keeping the world alive. You know what that means? You know what that means? You have someone sitting and learning Torah. Every letter of Torah, 613 mitzvot. Make the calculation how many mitzvot you get in 1 minute. We should be throwing anyone we could, go learn Torah. I just started a night kollel in the valley. And I was looking for someone to donate books, Svarim. And a doctor came over to me. And he said, Rabbi, how much are the Svarim going to be? I said, around $7,000. Takes out a checkbook and he writes it out. I said, I meant 20. Something like that. He said, take it. If you ever need more, let me know. I said, doctor, that's amazing, but wow. He looks at me like I was crazy. He says, I don't understand why people just don't go buying books for yeshivot for people to learn. Anyone who ever learns from that book, I get reward. I go home, they buy books. What better investment? He says, I go around all the time. I'll give you his number. I go around all the time trying to give people books. Can you imagine? He's looking. He's looking. Speaking on tzedakah, I'll go off for 1 second. The Gemara says, Im adam ro'eh shemazonosav kashalo, marbin b'tzedakah. If you see that your parnassah is hard, you should give charity. So Rav Shalom Shradran, the Maggid, asked, really? That seems counterproductive. You don't have money, so give more away. That's not going to help. So he brings down the mashal. He says there was once this hick who went into, was never in a post office in his life, and he decides he wants to send his first cousin, who was also his mother, a big television box for the holidays. So he sends this big box and he goes to the post office and he puts on a stamp and he puts it down. He says, okay, please send this television box to this and this address. Well, he says, sir, it's a big box. Your little 29-cent stamp is not going to do it. He says, what do you want me to do? He says, you have to put on more stamps. He said, that's only going to make it heavier. Yeah, that's what's going to make it go. Says Rosh Shadran, when you think you're giving away tzedakah, you're going to make it heavier. No, that's just the stamps that enables it to come. So So everyone tonight write checks. Anyway, I was not asked to say that. But that's how it really should be. That's how it really should be, Rabbosai. Someone who's learning Torah. The Greeks knew it. How do we not know it? Esav knew it. Hitler, Yamach Shemo, knew it. Hitler writes in his book, in Mein Kampf, if there's one Jew left in the world, he can still change it. Get rid of every last one. He wasn't going to stop in Europe. His plans were to get Jews everywhere in the world. He knew the power of one Jew. And what about us? What about us? People were hiding in caves trying to open up a book and no one was looking. And now we're living a Medina Shel Chesed. Come and learn Torah whenever you want. Come hold up the world. And unfortunately, how many people are doing it? Let me tell you about a very, very sad person. One of the saddest people I know. Want to hear about a sad person? Everyone likes a good sad story. He was a sad person. He was collecting in Times Square. He had a little pan. He would sing off key. And people would walk by. And he had a wagon that just had like everything in it. Like one of those circus wagons. Everything was in his wagon. And one day a wealthy man is walking by, a CEO. And he just closed a big deal. And he's like, I'm in a giving mood. And he sees this guy on the corner. He says, I'm going to give him the surprise of his life. He takes out his checkbook. And he writes out $1 million check. And he puts it on top of his wagon. You imagine this guy's to wake up. He's not going to believe it. He's going to go to the bank, cash it. Yeah, I'm not walking away. I'll be on the news. Yeah, man finds $1 million check. Great. Writes a $1 million check, puts it in. Nothing. Won't even notice his bank account the next morning. This poor man wakes up, a little tired. It's time to change locations. Takes his wagon, he starts walking. And slowly, the check slips to the bottom of the wagon. And with each step, it goes further and further. And he walks around days and weeks. He doesn't know about the check. And months turn into years. And his $1 million check is sitting at the bottom of the wagon. So sad. He has the money. But he doesn't know it. He's the saddest man. If someone doesn't have the money, he doesn't. But he has it. He has it. He's so oblivious. We have an opportunity to go ahead and learn, to be involved in Torah, to send our husbands out to learn. When Hashem looks down at the world, who do you think he's looking at? Putin? Ahmadinejad? He's looking at this kollel. He's looking at the Los Angeles kollel, at Yeshiva on Lakewood. That's where he's looking. I guarantee you, he couldn't care less about that big actor down the block. Not one iota. We have it. We have to realize we have it. Says the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, that's one thing that Hashem gave us, a Kli Chemda, a Torah. But it's a Chiba Yisera because he let us know about it. Some people, they don't realize. They go their whole lives without realizing. Motzai Chanukah is coming up, and I want to end off with one last thought. In Hasidus, they say that one candle shines away a lot of darkness. If you go into a dark room and you put one candle there, the whole room can light up. Hanukkah tells us you don't just light the candle. That's superficial. But you have a candle inside of you. You have that or that you could shine. Ein or ela Torah. Ki ner mitzvah v'Torah or. Torah lights up the world. It's a crazy world. My Rebbe used to say that there was a rabbi back in the day who once wanted to go into a mental institution. Give them chizuk. And he walks into the mental house and he sees one guy sitting in the corner and he's singing Hamol Shikapu. This guy says he's Elvis. And he looks in the other end of the corner and he sees a guy saying, I had a dream. This guy's Martin Luther King. And there's another guy sitting over there. He's going, for free. He thinks he's Kobe Bryant. And everyone in there imagines there's someone else. Nebuch. And the rabbi brings them all to the table and he says, guys, I want to lift your spirits. I'm a rabbi. And all of a sudden everyone starts bickering. And one guy looks, Martin Luther King looks at Elvis and says, this guy thinks he's a rabbi. And the rabbi says, wait a second, am I a rabbi? He's looking around, am I crazy? He forgot, wait a second, no. You guys are crazy, I'm the crazy normal, crazy. And he forgot. And I think that's how it is sometimes. I find myself talking to people, some of my students, explaining things which are so normal. I would think, yes, a man should dress like a man and a woman like a woman. Isn't that a normal idea? But it's not. This became a chidush. I mean, how things became so just ragil. The Sfas Emes says you light a candle. Ad shetichla haregel min hashuk. You have to light the candle until people stop walking. People should see it. Says the Sfas Emes, ad shetichla regel, from the word ragilut. Your candle has to stop the things which are normal. You get so ragil. This is my life. This is what I do. This is where I live. Where's the ambition? Where's the fire? And people want to know the next generation, what's going to be. Why? Because look, they look up. Where's the life in Judaism? Where's the vibrancy? Would you want to keep a religion which everyone complains about all day? Oh, a 3-day Yom Tov. Oh. I will never forget it. This past Pesach, I was at a hotel speaking in Connecticut. And me and my wife are walking out you can't make this up. We're walking out the last night after people were just eating for 8 days. That's what they did. I am not joking. I finished my meal once. They came over to me and said, so, Majesky, would you like the rib, the rib steak, or the buffalo deer? I don't know, some name. I'm like, okay, all three. Okay. I waited too long. They brought me all 3 choices. And you finish, and they're giving more and wines. And I finished the meal, and I'm walking back, and I couldn't believe it. There was a guy barbecuing hot dogs, giving out to people as they were walking from the dining room to the room. Chas v'shalom, that they should go, like Dalet Amos without a hot dog. And I'm walking by, and people are eating. Where do you put it? In your pockets? I couldn't believe my eyes. But anyway, I finished the last meal. I finished the Havdalah, and we're walking by, and there's this gentleman who looks at his wife. It was after 8 days of Pesach, and he says, honey, we made it. And I look at my wife, I'm like, made what? What exactly did you make? The guy who buys his wife a beautiful present, and it's in a box. He says, oh dear, what is it? He says, well, it goes from 0 to 80 in 3.4 seconds. He said, really? What? It's a scale, yeah? That's not Shalom Bayis advice. Don't buy your wife a scale like that. What did they make? They made another 100. I couldn't believe it. We made it like, that's a tachlit. And then we say, what's with the next generation? What do you mean? Pesach became about hot dogs and food and where are we going? I would say, you should love Torah. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We have to remember we're the normal ones. They're crazy. One of the advantages of being an 8th grade Rebbe is I get followed up on all of the up-to-date genre that's going on. And then I can really watch it. I just say my students told me. So they tell me about all these different movies coming out. That is maybe, hopefully no one, I'm sure no one here is aware that there's something called Hunger Games. Where you have millions of people reading these books and following. The goal of this movie is everyone in the world is watching people fight to the finish and kill themselves. And they get entertained by it. And they're normal. This is normal. You understand? We're raising kids in this generation with complete quacks. Not just running the government, but everywhere. Everywhere, crazy, really crazy people. They decide to get dressed in the morning. They don't get dressed in the morning. What? It became normal to go to a Ralph's and just what they have on their front by the register over there. The Chavetz Chaim, you know what it means, a Kedusha, to never see anything inappropriate in his life. Who could say that living over here? But it's just normal. I joke with my students, I come in from the valley to here, I need to go to the mikvah. Straight. Driving. When I was in 11th grade in Yeshiva Torah V'das, I had an Elterer Rebbe named Rav Steinmetz. Real classic old Rebbe, squiggly beard, only spoken Yiddish, a hunchback. Yeah, he would have these words. And he told us, Ich gedenk in meine Jorin. I remember back in the day in my early years, as meine Rebbe hat gesagt zu mir, that my Rebbe told me, Steinmetz. I'll go from here on in English, not to bore you. What you see in 1 week, Steinmetz, I didn't see in my ganze Leben, in my whole life. And my Rebbe would look at the class and he would say, and you boys, what you see in 1 day, I didn't see in my whole life. And now I tell my class what you see in a millisecond. It's right here. This is what we're fighting against, Motzai. But if there's a war and you don't know they're coming to kill you, you're a dead man standing. If there are people coming after kill you, you're standing there in your suit, and you're not ready to fight, you're done. Says the Ramchal in Mesilas Yesharim, you know what the Yetzer Hara wakes up every day? You know what he says? How am I going to kill you? That's his question. He's an assassin. God gave him that job. He's planning now where you're going to be in the summer. And who's going to get stuck in you in traffic tomorrow to get you mad. And when the next time your mother-in-law is coming. He has that all planned. Whose mother-in-law was I talking about? They're laughing. Think of him. Okay, I love it. I love it. Not my mother-in-law. If you ever see this, you're the best. He's planning this. He wants to get you whatever way he could. And we sit there, oh, where am I going to go tomorrow? Like we're totally oblivious. He's trying to kill us, and he's winning. And he's winning. Are we going to let the Yevanim win? We can't think of it as some old Greek story. That message of the dreidel is happening now. It happens through the Torah. And let me end off with one last little maisa, but it's so pure and it's so deep. There's a Chabad Shliach in New Jersey. And this Chabad Shliach, he went to a public school where he found that there were a lot of Jews over there. And he wanted to teach them something that they could take with them. So he brings all the little boys and girls together, kindergarten through 5th grade. Unfortunately, in this public school, there are around 60 to 70 kids over there. And he didn't have in mind there would be so many Jewish kids there. Lo Aleinu. Lo Aleinu. Over 500,000 Jews living right here in Los Angeles. How many boys are enrolled in yeshiva? You do the math. This Chabad Shliach walks into a public school and he takes out a Moda'ani and a projector. And he says something simple, boys and girls, you can go home and wake up every morning and thank Hashem. Moda'ani lefanecha. And he talked to them about being grateful. And then before he left, he had a handout. A sheet that said Moda'ani in Hebrew, in English, and then transliterated. M-O-D-E-H, Moda'ani, Fanecha, that all the kids could take. And one by one, all the kids came. They were so excited to do it, so pure, so holy. And they each took a Moda'ani. And as he was about to leave, he sees there's a little girl crying in the corner. And he walks over to her. He says, Mein Tochter, why are you crying? She says, I was the only one who didn't get a paper. I said, oh, okay, well, let me tell you what I'll do. He takes out a pen, his pad. He says, what's your address? I'm going to go back to my Chabad house. I'm going to write you out your own copy. I'll even give you your own little letter. And I'll send it to you. She gives him the address. He's about to turn and he sees she's still crying. He says, what now? I told you. I'm going to send you the letter. And she looks right at him. And she says, but what am I going to do tomorrow morning? From a little girl. I can't say next week. Yitzhahara knows way better than that. Can't say next month. Tomorrow morning. Hanukkah's coming. The world is shaken up. 2 weeks ago, Hashem has shaken the world like a lulav. Every country, everyone's going crazy. Society, television, internet, craziness. We became so ragil, av shetichla rego min hashuk. Hanukkah has to light you up. Light up the darkness. We have to show the next generation that we want this. We don't just keep the Torah. We want the Torah. Because if you just keep it, they won't. It has to be alive. It has to be real. And the only way to do that, the only way, Barasi Yetzirah, Barasi Torah Tavlin, is through the light of the Torah. It's through the learning. It's through the dedication. It's not hard. It's not always easy. Going out to learn at night after a days of work, trust me. I could teach over 60 elementary students in one day. It's not easy. And I come home at night and I want to go down, lay down. But Torah matehei alav. What's going to be? Who's going to step up if not us? Who's going to keep the world going? Who's keeping the purpose?